Zach LaVine is off to a hot start. After a promising preseason, he has officially carried that momentum into the regular season. He looks like he's back to his old ways after injuries derailed last season. If LaVine's play is sustainable, and he is indeed back to his all-star form, good things could be on the horizon for the Chicago Bulls. Of course, good things could mean many things. LaVine being back at the top of his game could mean the Bulls have a solid chance of securing a better spot. It could also mean the Bulls actually see a decent trade return if they do decide to move on from him. It's no secret that for at least a year now, the Bulls have been trying to find a new home for LaVine. With LaVine on the injury shelf for the majority of last season, finding him a new home was essentially a non-starter. Add in the fact that he posted some of his worst numbers with the Bulls across the board when he was available last year. It's understandable that the Bulls didn't find many interested parties when they kicked the bucket on his trade value. In order for the Bulls to get any sort of net positive value in a trade involving LaVine, he has to first show that he is healthy. And not only that, LaVine has to show that he can stay healthy while maintaining a high level of play. LaVine looked great in the last few games. And for a player who relies so much upon his athleticism, he seemed to have it in spades. That is further evidence that he is truly feeling fit and healthy. Additionally, LaVine looked like he had his quick twitch back and appeared to be completely comfortable exploding downhill and attacking the paint. One solid performance is far from enough to bring LaVine's trade value from out of the cellar from which it dwelled last year. With that being said, what LaVine has shown so far has been encouraging. Stringing a few more performances like the one he had on opening night could go a long way in creating intrigue in potential trade suitors. Consistency will be huge for LaVine, as he must maintain both his health and efficient play on the court in order to be a potentially movable asset come the NBA trade deadline. The Bulls are once again a team lacking direction. As the franchise shifts ever so slowly to a youth movement, he is one of the last big dominoes to fall. But even if LaVine maintains this level of play, there are still a lot of other factors outside of the team's control which could determine where he ends up. All possibilities are on the table. As things currently stand, however, LaVine looks like a player a handful of playoff contenders certainly should be keeping their eyes on. Last season, the Bulls were eliminated in the play-in tournament and once again failed to elevate themselves into the upper class in the East, even with a breakout season by Coby White. DeRozan and Caruso also had solid seasons, and when the trade deadline arrived, NBA circles were abuzz about the possibility of the Bulls swapping one or both. But Chicago wanted them for a possible playoff run. When that didn't materialize, they lost an opportunity in a market that subsequently cooled as summer approached. The Bulls made a pair of trades involving their best assets that didn't exactly bring massive returns. That being said, the Caruso deal with the Thunder, on the surface and in a best-case scenario, might prove beneficial. It was straight up for Giddey, a young achiever with reasonably solid skills and someone who can play multiple positions. Meanwhile, DeRozan is one of the league's finest clutch performers and better than Caruso. But his age and contract situation were abstraction. Ultimately, the Kings received DeRozan in a 3-team deal, but the Bulls got not as much. No first-round pick or top-of-the-rotation player. Clearly, the Bulls want Coby White to take another step forward, Patrick Williams to be more aggressive, and other players to develop. But those are going to be season-long projects, and we have 82 games to see them through. The most important thing for Chicago in the immediate future is for LaVine to look like the all-star version of himself, which will raise his trade value. His injury problems and tough contract to stomach caused his trade value to tank last year. In his first showcase, he more than passed the eye test and was lights out from deep. If nights like that are more the norm than an outlier in the first month of the season, teams will be interested. The return might still not be massive, but the Bulls might not have to attach an asset to move him. It's going to take a larger sample size for teams around the league to start biting at any LaVine bait in the trade market again. But it's impossible to say his hot start wasn't a step in that direction. Things change fast in the NBA. All of a sudden, he's one more year into that deal and he has a healthy foot. He's showing more of a willingness to fit into what's best for the team as opposed to just dominating the ball. If things trend in the right direction early, the market will develop. LaVine joined the Bulls in 2017, and while they have not enjoyed much success as a team over his time with the organization, he has put up some solid numbers regardless. But despite the trade rumors swirling around LaVine, unexpected predictions about his future in the NBA have emerged, suggesting he may not be dealt by the Bulls despite calls for a rebuild. With his contract and performance under scrutiny, the narrative surrounding his potential remains a compelling subplot. He is making a strong statement at the start of the season, showcasing his elite skills and boosting his trade value for the Bulls. After a challenging year plagued by injuries, LaVine opened the season with an impressive performance. This resurgence is vital not only for LaVine's individual career but also for the Bulls, who find themselves in a transitional phase focusing on developing younger talent. As the team navigates this uncertain direction, his strong play could either help propel the Bulls toward a playoff berth or increase his attractiveness as a trade asset. The upcoming months are crucial for LaVine, as consistent performances will be key in maintaining his value, especially with the trade deadline approaching. Several teams, including the Lakers, Heat, and Nuggets, are reportedly eyeing him as a potential addition to bolster their playoff aspirations. For LaVine, keeping up this level of play will be essential. Whether he leads the Bulls to a successful season or becomes a pivotal figure in a trade, all eyes will be on him throughout the season. His ability to perform consistently could significantly impact both his future and the Bulls' trajectory in the league. As the season unfolds, fans and analysts alike will be watching closely to see how LaVine's performance shapes the narrative for the Bulls and his own career. Even as early as now, LaVine is making a strong case for him not to be traded by Chicago. His trade is as unlikely as it is overdue. He isn't even halfway through a 5-year, $215 million contract, and he has a game that's too single-minded to reach a place where its explosiveness impacts winning or makes teammates better. He also turns 30 in March and has never come close to making an All-NBA team. This is a negative contract, meaning the Bulls will have to attach draft picks to it if they want someone to take it off their hands. And that's where the rubber meets the road, because Chicago, a team that has seemingly finally accepted the need to rebuild, isn't in any position to surrender its ability to tank in the years ahead. For their part, the Bulls are wisely choosing to remain patient with LaVine's trade situation. Despite ongoing rumors, his recent injury history and large contract make him a challenging trade asset. His past performances showed promise, averaging over 24 points per game prior to last season's struggles. By allowing him time to regain form, the Bulls can better showcase his abilities, potentially attracting interest from teams in need of scoring as the trade deadline approaches. If he performs well, Chicago could finally capitalize on a favorable trade opportunity. LaVine looks good, and I think that might be the most important thing to watch early in the season.